you ever asked yourself in these trying times how your company will collect its money? Merticon, MERTICON.com. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Chuck Graham Show. We haven't done a show in quite a while. I kind of wanted to change up the format of what I'm doing with the show. Well, I want to bring cameras and all that kind of stuff in here and actually have a podcast with guests and opinions. And but for right now, I'm kind of stuck doing this on my own. So I guess I could get some Facebook friends to do it. But then, why not just do it on my own? I think I can come up with enough content to keep it going for a while, I guess. Well, coffee. Goodness. All right, well, here's the thing. Look at the state of our country. Look at the cities that are being burnt. Do you actually think that those people are protesters? They're paid anarchists. They're getting paid to burn the cities down. These Democratic control cities. Now, I've often said, why not bring out the fire hoses and blow them, slap off their feet and put the fires out at the same time. Now, I'm a stark supporter of that. Hit them back with so much force that they can't congregate. I mean, people are losing everything. They're losing their livelihoods. They're losing their security. People are moving from New York in droves, which they should. That city's is batshit crazy. The regulations, I was watching the news this morning, 20 years, and if this was reported true, there's a 20-year wait on opening up a hot dog stand. That is insane. And Bill de Blasio makes no mistake, no bones about he wants to take money from the rich and give it to the poor. Well, if he would reduce the regulations so that these people could build and pull their own self up, that would probably be the ideal thing. But no, that's not socialism. Well, I tell you what was socialism. Adolf Hitler. Yeah. It was a socialist party. So when you think about socialism, you better think how bad it really can get. There was a lot of other things that were attached to that party, but in all socialist tries throughout history, it's all ended in violence. Look at Venezuela. They were a prosperous nation. Now they're the poorest among the poorest in the world. Why? Socialism. Somebody had the great idea to take from the people that are creating and prospering at their own hands and give it to the people that don't do shit. And when you do that, what happens is the people that are prospering are going to get out. If they're not going to be rewarded for their efforts, and people say, well, shouldn't the workers have an interest in the company? No. You get a fair wage for the job you do. You've risked nothing. If the company goes under, you've risked nothing. They're not going to take your house, or you have to help pay back that HELOC loan. No. You shouldn't get anything except a fair wage for the work you do. Now, should you want to risk it all and build something, then that's your prerogative. Quit and go and risk it all and build yourself a company. But no, the person that takes the risk reaps the reward. You know how much money is enough for one person? Just a little bit more. I am a true capitalist through and through. Now, did you guys see today on the news where they have charged the two attorneys that lived in Missouri for pointing their weapons at protesters? Just pointing their weapons at protesters. How many protesters were arrested and charged for burning the damn city down? Not a lot. Maybe a few. How many people were arrested that busted down a private gate to come into that gated community and trespass? How many? To my knowledge, 0. Leave it in the comments if you know the exact number. But to my knowledge, none. Oh, but you were pointing a gun at protesters. Yeah, that was trespassing. Crazy ass world we live in. That's actually absolutely insanity to charge these people with protecting their property and lives. But you do nothing to the protesters. Well, all I can say is this. And then they wonder why you have Trump supporters coming through in four-wheel drive pickups and AR-15s and protecting themselves and meeting the violence head on. Because in these cities, the police are not doing shit. The mayors won't let them. The police chiefs are not elected. They're at the direction of the mayor. And I've often wondered, where's these damn sheriffs at? Well, they could do more, but they don't. Because they're democratically controlled elected officials and areas, Democrat-controlled areas. See if I can get that out. So, say what you will, but law enforcement is dropping the ball in those areas, and they're doing it for political reasons. Now, here's what I think. I think they're paid protesters. I think that they wanted to keep it under wraps for the longest time, 90 days. The media was saying that nothing to see here, just, summer of love over there in the chop zone. So they wanted to keep this narrative that somehow or another it's mostly peaceful protesting. The funniest picture I saw when they had that headline up in CNN, there was a building burning in the background. Mostly fiery, but mostly peaceful protesting. That's insane. Okay, so let's just do this for a second. Let's look at that. Why would they allow this? And why would the funders of these riots and anarchists, why would they want to do that? Well, if you can have rioting and looting and put people in fear, what they were trying to do is it's all about the election. If Joe Biden gets in, all this will go away. But because we hate Trump so much, either you vote for us or else. Well, that's kind of not American. Not American, people. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say either you vote for our candidate that we support or we'll burn the damn cities down. Well, if I was mayor, I can assure you that wouldn't go on. I'd arrest every single one of them. All of them. Put their ass in a fenced-in area and process them all. Every single protester. Haul their ass out of there in school buses. Yeah. For unlawful protesting. Didn't get a permit. The ones that got the permit, hold their ass responsible for any looting and violence. That's what they ought to do too. Anybody that's going to be involved in this protest, you have to sign this form. Every single person that's going to protest has to sign their name on this form so we know who you are. Otherwise, it's an unlawful protest. Very simple. It's just the organizers of the protest get their names and numbers and social security numbers, and then they protest, do whatever they want, as long as it, and then you could hold some people accountable. But as sensible as that sounds, that probably is probably not practical from a practicality standpoint if you're dealing with 60,000 people. But We're not saying you can't protest. We're just saying you can't protest with us not knowing who you are. Well, you have a Second Amendment right to bear arms, right? To keep and bear arms. Then why do you need a permit from the state to carry that firearm? Why do you need permission? Florida has it right. They issue a firearms license. But why do you need that? If you have a constitutional protected right, how can a city like New York require you to get a permit to keep and bear arms? They shouldn't be able to. I don't agree whatsoever of concealed weapon permits. I think you have a constitutional right, and if you're not a felon, you should be able to carry it, period, anywhere. Except like courthouses and stuff like that. Now, I can understand the license part of it. You license people to drive cars, make sure they know what the hell they're doing before they get on the highway. If you wanted to issue a license, and I think I don't think any locale should be the issuer of any firearms permits or license. I think that should be a state issue. And I think that places like New York should be stripped of that ability to prohibit firearms in their cities. If you have a state firearms license, you should be able to carry it anywhere. Sure would change the dynamics, wouldn't it? Could you imagine New York City becoming an open carry state or city? Yeah. I can't imagine that at all. And that dipshit Mayor de Blasio, he's about to bankrupt the city. He's running, rich people out in droves. But anyway, my point being, look at the guy out in, what's that latest city where the guy had a warrant for, I want to say molesting a child or sexual assault. It was one of them, sexual assault. Anyway, he got shot and he's in the hospital. He's paralyzed from his neck down. People, let me just tell you this. Here's where you don't fight your case. You don't fight your case in the middle of the street. I have never seen the police beat the shit out of somebody or shoot them unless they were resisting. I really haven't. And I don't think it matters, because at the end of the day, I just really think that they're going to riot and burn down a city. It doesn't matter to these people. Not at all. And look, these Democratic controlled cities that are letting these cities burn, they ought to be sued. The business owners ought to sue them. And the federal government should not bond or bail their ass out. They just shouldn't. But did you guys see where the CDC released their facts of 6%? 6% of the deaths from COVID-19, only 6% of them could be certified as a direct result of COVID-19. That's roughly, out of 160,000, that's roughly about 9,500. Are you kidding me? 9,500 deaths directly associated with no other underlying conditions. Only 9,500. Now, any life is important. We know that. And then they went on to say, I think it was 130,000 deaths were people over the age of 60 with underlying conditions. So what killed them? Was it the pneumonia, the COVID, the stage 3 hypertension? Probably all the above. Kind of like having your foot on a banana peel and one in the grave, and somebody walks by and pushes you. The somebody's COVID. 2 million people died in this country from the Spanish flu. Just the Spanish flu. So, this was no pandemic. I'm sorry. It just was not a pandemic. Now, people can say whatever they want, But you'll never make me believe this was a pandemic. This was the CDC trying to take down the Trump administration and Fauci and Bird. I mean, why call it a model? Why don't you just call it a guess? Because that's exactly what it is, because you don't know. Would they have shut down the economy under this had Obama been in office? I can give you a definitive no. They would have pushed this under the rug. Oh, it's not that bad. It'll be a bad season of the flu, and they just stuck to it. But because Trump is a self-proclaimed germaphobe, they knew what he would do, and he did it. He affected not only my business, probably, but hundreds of thousands of other businesses. Do I agree with the way he handled this? No. Not at all. And will I vote for him? Yes, because I think he's the only one capable of getting the economy back to where it was. Did he do a great job with the economy and other things? Yes, absolutely. I'm a Trump supporter. I don't support the decision to shut the damn country down, though, or mandated mask wearing. And see, he don't wear his mask, and neither do the people around him, and they don't demand it at his rallies. Why? Because they know the damn thing doesn't work. Because if it did work, let's say it did work, or does work, well, then it's also going to stop the spread of the antibodies that will hinder herd immunity. And look, they were going, well, so-called herd immunity. I heard the press secretary, I think it was, and it's not so-called herd immunity. That it's, you know, as you get this virus and you get over it, well, you're over it. I think there was one person caught it twice. I don't know how that happened. Don't even know if that's the truth. I don't believe anything that comes out of Fauci's mouth, and I don't believe anything that comes out of the CDC, because and I'm not a conspiracy nut, but if you don't like the CDC today, just wait 5 minutes. They'll have a different opinion on something. And I know that facts change and different things like that, but damn. First you tell everybody don't wear a mask, they don't work. And that was the correct assumption. You touch your mask, you scratch your balls, you touch your mask again, you pick up something at the store, you touch your mask. You pull it down to smoke your cigarette. The damn things don't work. Not in an uncontrolled environment. And they're going to figure that out. But like I said in other shows, I have never seen the government, our government, so panicked. All three branches. You got our justice over here in Mississippi. You got our chief justice requiring masks in every courtroom. Moron. What I think should have happened is they should have did exactly what Sweden did. Protect your elderly people, because that's the vulnerable population, and shut down your nursing homes. Don't let anybody in there. Get those people tested that are working in there, and let the rough end drag. And you know what? It worked. And they have about the same rate of death as we do. Now, what they'll do is the critics will say, no, that is 5 times higher. If you take the number of cases and the number of deaths and you divide it, it's 5 times higher in the U.S. Well, you can't do that. You can't take the number of cases. You have to assume that everybody in the country has had it. And you take those and you divide it by the deaths. If you do that, and you do it in America and you do it in Sweden, we're relatively the same amount of deaths. And then when they start auditing the numbers, wait till those audits come out and they find out that these hospitals, to stay open and stay afloat, was if you had COVID and you died of anything, it was COVID that killed you. So you can get that $13,000 per COVID patient. Wait till that comes out and see what happens then. Anyway, well, I appreciate you listening in. And if you hadn't hit that subscribe button, please do so. We're going to have more content throughout the week. I'm trying to get my studio fixed so that I can do my podcast. But I'm glad you listened. And if you have any comments you want to make on YouTube, please make them. I'm not thin-skinned, and I don't delete any comments either. So if you think it sucks, put it down there you think it sucks. Because I really don't care. All right, guys. Till the next time. God bless you. Love you. Be safe.